And welcome back to the Florida State University of Panama City campus, the Holly Center, where we're concluding our candidate forum here with our final segment. Our candidates for the 2nd Congressional District seat. I'll introduce our candidates first, Mr. Al Lawson, Mr. Floyd Patrick Miller, and Mr. Steve Southerland. Our final panelist asking the questions this time around, Jamie Shepard from the Bay County League of Women Voters, Al McCambry rejoining us again with the Bay County Chamber of Commerce, and Joe Moore rejoining us again from News Channel 7. Our first question, candidates, please. Our timekeeper right there should give you 15 seconds. When you're approaching the 1 minute mark, then she'll give you a stop. If you'll please adhere to the 1 minute limit so we get as many questions as possible. If you have time left over, of course, you can go back and address another issue or bring up a new issue if you wish. First question, Ms. Shepard to Mr. Lawson.
Mr. Lawson, you're a married man. You understand that compromise and working together on tough issues is a requirement, but compromise has become a dirty word in Congress lately. What have you done to show your willingness to work with the opposition on tough issues?
Thank you very much, and I'd like to thank the League of Voters and Channel 7. In the 28 years that I've served in the legislature, 18 years in the House and 10 years in the Senate, I've always worked across party lines to make sure that we accomplish what is best for our community. I think that if you had to go and look at all the legislation and so forth that has passed, I've served in the Democratic administration, but I've also served on the Republican administration in the House and in the Senate, 3 Republican governors, and I always had leadership positions. The reason why I had no leadership position is because of my ability to work across party lines. In order for you to get something done today and to be good stewards of the taxpayers' money, you got to have the ability to work across party lines. Unlike my opponent over here, the Congressman, voted 93% of the time with his party. And that is unacceptable if you really want to get things done.
Thank you, Mr. Lawson. Mr. McCambry to Mr. Miller.
Yeah, Mr. Miller, the key to success of our installations is access to the Gulf Range Complex for research and development, testing and training. How can you help ensure that the federal government will protect the range east of the military mission line from encroachment caused by oil exploration and drilling?
That's a good question. The military is one of our most important employers in this area, so that'll definitely be a focal point for anybody who wins this race. Being able to have access to that firing range is very important. The whole fishing industry also is an important part of it, and I believe with the work in the education on the large university level, we can bring a lot of more jobs onshore with the aquaculture and growing the fish onshore and providing jobs outside of that area. I'm sure it'll be protected fully.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. Mr. Moore to Mr. Sutherland.
Mr. Southerland, a PAC, the House Majority PAC, which I understand is a Democratic PAC, has started a $250,000 TV commercial run in Tallahassee and Panama City today saying, quote, "You're out of touch with North Florida. You want to dismantle the Department of Education, cutting Florida education funding, putting a college education out of reach for many, and at the same time, you voted to gut Medicare, forcing seniors to pay thousands more, all to give the wealthy another tax cut." How do you react to that commercial?
Well, first of all, it's totally false. But before I answer the question in detail, I want to thank the League of Women Voters for putting together this forum, Chambers of Commerce, thank you very much, and WJHG. Now to the business at hand. There is a reason that Washington, D.C. inside the Democratic Party is spending over $1 million to come after me, because I've done exactly what I promised I would do. I would return and protect the freedoms of the American people and make sure that our personal liberties and our personal freedoms were paramount and restored. And there's people inside Washington, D.C., especially those like Nancy Pelosi, who don't like me very much because of that. There's no other reason why they would come and spend over $1 million to unseat me. And so I think that the voters of the 2nd District of Florida are very smart. They're very savvy, and they know us because our family's been in this district over 200 years. We do exactly what we say we're going to do, and I think on November the 6th, it's going to prove that the people know best.
Mr. Sullivan, thank you. We're going to change the order so our different panelists can ask questions of different candidates. So Mr. Moore, if you would, to Mr. Lawson.
Mr. Lawson, the Leadership Conference on Civil and Human Rights, the NAACP, and the ACLU have asked the Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe to send observers to the U.S. to monitor problems with our election, sending 44 observers to polling places. In the past, we're the ones that sent the observers to some countries on a similar mission. But has it gotten so bad here that we need to have other foreign observers coming in here to see what we're doing?
Well, I think anytime you have voter suppression, you probably need to have someone to come in and monitor it. Now, I can't speak for the NAACP or other organizations. And one of the things that I would like to say to my opponent over here is his people have come in and spent over $1 million against me to upset me. And in a radio interview, he just talked about 2 weeks ago how he was close with Nancy Pelosi, Harry Reid, and other people, which was kind of shocking to say how they don't want to against him now. I mean, I was doing a radio debate with him, and he was saying that they were friends here. He worked with them real good. So I don't know where he's coming from. He said one thing on one side of the district and something else on the other side of the district. That's the reason why you need a leader that's not going to waver on.
Thank you, Mr. Lawson. Ms. Shepherd to Mr. Miller.
Mr. Miller, would you explain your professional qualifications for this office? What do the voters need to know about you?
I am a working class man, and I'm here to work for the working class. There are no qualifications other than our age and being a registered voter here in here. So I'm here to work for better wages for the working class. I believe that a fair living wage is very important. I believe that education is the most important thing that our government should fund, whether it be on a local or federal level. I believe that fair taxes are a very important issue. We can't go after a no tax and no regulation system. The reality of the situation is we do need to have revenues. I'm here to work for other revenues such as everybody talks about the oil and the natural gas offshore. We should keep that for ourselves as a national monetary reserve and hire companies to drill it for us. This is how we can get out of debt, and I'm here to work to bring new ideas to our system.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. Mr. McCambry to Mr. Southerland.
Congressman Southerland, the Restore Act, as it is signed into law right now, has great potential to benefit this area economically and environmentally through BP oil claim money. However, a pending settlement with the Attorney General may allocate many of those funds to NERDA. How do you feel about this, and what will you do in office to facilitate Bay County's claims to Restore Act money?
I think the president has a proven track record of ignoring current law. And I think that the voters of this country are aware of that. The Restore Act, which was passed on a bipartisan basis by the House and by the Senate, a bill that I helped co-author as well as co-write, was signed by the president in June of this year. And his signature, the ink on that signature is not even dry. And yet he's already directed Mr. Holder, the Attorney General's office, to begin negotiating with BP for NERDA fines and literally go around the Restore Act. I think we're a nation of laws, especially laws that the president just signed into law. And to already ignore that at the detriment of the 5 Gulf Coast states who were most impacted by that disaster, I think is horrible. And I think that the president will find pushback, both from members of his own party and clearly from those members that are around the 5 Gulf Coast states. And I will fight that.
Thank you, Mr. Sullivan. Let's see, Ms. Shepherd, I believe, we're back to you, to Mr. Lawson.
Mr. Lawson, what ideas would you support to rein in the ballooning costs of Medicare and Medicaid?
Well, I think really important, if you look at the Affordable Care Act right now, $716 billion is going to be saved for money that's been paid out to insurance companies and other entities put back into the system to make it Medicare more affordable. I think it's very important that we not continue to give tax breaks to corporations that take our jobs overseas. Also, to stop giving tax breaks to millionaires and billionaires. All of that is going to save the cost of Medicare. Medicare is so important. It's personal with me. My mother's in a nursing home, and it's very important about Medicare. And I can tell you right now, I would fight for Medicare. I would make sure that we keep Medicare the way it is today, and I would not change it. Our opponent here voted against it twice. you know, that dog would not hunt.
Thank you, Mr. Lawson. Mr. McCambridge and Mr. Miller.
Mr. Miller, what is your interpretation of the United States Constitution's Second Amendment and its limitations regarding how it applies to gun control?
That's one of the main reasons why I got interested in getting into this race. When discussion changed from Second Amendment rights to Second Amendment remedies, I was disgusted with that thought, that people in our country, people in Congress, are actually talking about using force and weapons to institute their idea. The Second Amendment rights is the right for us to bear arms. It does not give you the right to use it or threaten to use it. We have our stand the ground rule in this state, and you have people in Congress that want to use weapons, and that's why I got involved in it. I think you should be able to have the weapon, that you should have to have a license to go hunting, and you might want to have a license to carry it around. And we already have those rules in place. Most cities have those stronger rules than the federal government, so I wouldn't change anything, and people do have the right to bear arms.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. Mr. Moore to Mr. Sullivan.
Comprehensive immigration reform still hanging fire in Congress. What would you like to see Congress do to resolve the issue, and what stance, what actions are you taking on the issue?
Well, first of all, I think we've got to seal our borders. I think that is the purpose of government, to provide for the security of its people. The second thing I think we need is to make sure that we streamline legal immigration. That people don't wander for years and years and years trying to get through something that many of our grandparents and great-grandparents were able to access. I believe in a temporary work visa. And I think we've got to quit paying a lot of Americans who are of working age, who are physically, mentally, and spiritually able to work, but have made a conscious decision to sit and not work. Now again, that is people of working age that are physically and mentally and psychologically able to work. We got to quit paying people to sit and make sure then that we offer legal immigration. And I think that, listen, and both parties have been woeful in being able to push forward a solution such as that I just outlined.
Thank you, Mr. Sullivan. Mr. McCambridge and Mr. Lawson.
Hi, Mr. Lawson. I think we've heard that Bay County has a very adamant passion related to VP overtime. So I'm going to ask you the same question I asked Mr. Southerland earlier. The Restore Act, as it is signed into law right now, has a great potential to benefit this area economically and environmentally through VP oil claim money. However, a pending settlement, the Attorney General may allocate many of those funds to NERDA. How do you feel about this, and what would you do in office to facilitate Bay County's claims to those funds?
Thank you very much. And first, I would like to tell you that I served on the oil spill task force for the governor and was able to assess a lot of things that really occurred with the oil spill here. And we had even a meeting here. What is necessary at this particular time is to make sure that you're going to fight to make sure that those funds really come to this particular area. I really applaud the congressman here for supporting it the second time around because he voted against it the first time around. Now, he was a co-sponsor on that bill, not a prime sponsor, out of sponsor. But I'm glad he signed on to it. Bill Nelson, current state senator, brought it out of the Senate. And I think that was a very good bill to actually do that. And I think that if you have the right people up there working, people with experience, you know for a fact that you're going to make sure that the Restore Act takes care of Dade County because of the devastating effect that it has had on this community and other communities adjacent to it.
Thank you, Mr. Lawson. Ms. Shepherd and Mr. Miller.
Mr. Miller, you have called for the lowering of the retirement age to 60. Would you explain your idea?
Well, most other countries in the world, they fight when you say you're going to raise the retirement age. That's why I'm standing up for myself. I believe that we can fix Social Security, we can fix Medicare, and to say that my age group is going to have to work beyond 65, I've heard the age of 70, that I am going to have to work. And I've already been working for 22, 25 years of my life already. And to say that we can't fix this system is an unconscionable thought, that the wealthier in this country get wealthier at a rate faster than they ever have before and are paying a lower tax rate than they ever have before. And to say that I am going to have to work longer that we can't fix this system, that has, again, impassioned me to step up and fight for my rights and the rights of my family, the rights of the people like me that are in the working class.
I think, Mr. Miller, I think we're going to have one question left. Mr. Moore, why don't you go for Mr. Sutherland?
Mr. Southerland, it doesn't look like anything's going to seriously happen to the USA and Cuba relations while Fidel Castro is alive and well, and she appears to be. What should we be doing now to normalize relations, including lifting the long-time embargo that could be a boon for the Cuban people? What do you think?
First of all, I'm in favor of the embargo. I think the embargo must continue as long as Fidel and his brother are there. And I think we need to support those that would rise up against him. I do want to say this, since this is our last question. The desperation of my opponent at the end is glaring. And I'll say that the people in this room and the people watching by television, they know Steve Southerland. To say that Steve Southerland voted against the Restore Act, an act that I authored, is laughable. Also to say that I voted against Medicare. It was a massive, the health care bill was a massive expansion of Medicaid. And that savings that my opponent referenced, it takes money away from doctors and hospitals and nursing homes, home health care, hospice, all the things that seniors, the fastest segment of our population, 10,000 individuals a day, go into Social Security and Medicare. The last thing we need to do is take away their options of quality health care providers. So I just want to set the record straight. Okay, he can say it over and over again as many times as he wants, but that doesn't make it true.
Tell the truth, Steve.
Thank you.
Gentlemen, thank you for your time and your participation. We appreciate it. This concluded the second congressional district seat race for us on the League of Women Voters Forum, and also, again, our final segment of the evening. Of course, we appreciate all of our candidates participating, our panelists as well. We thank them